Let's get right to it. Question for you. Now, answer by hearts. Have you ever felt like you were not good enough? Has that ever happened to any of you guys? Have you ever felt like you're not good enough? Oh, really? Nobody? I don't believe, because I know that I have. Well, here they come. Yes, we have, right? So today, I want to delve into why we all have those thoughts. And for all of you who know me or follow me, you know that I have been in some unhealthy relationships in the past, right? Haven't we all? And so I want to today, I want to have an open conversation about narcissists and codependents. Yes, boom. So joining me in a moment is an expert in all of these topics. She's phenomenal. She's a certified breakthrough life coach. She's a best-selling author. She's a YouTube sensation and the #1 most influential person of 2020 as voted by Digital Journal. Lisa A. Romano joins us. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, Miss Carrie Ann. How are you?
I'm fine. It's so great to see you. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
It's an honor for me as well, because as you know, well, I think I told you this when we talked, but I have been such a huge fan of yours for such a long time.
Wow.
I have watched so many YouTube videos. They're incredible. I've learned so much. I listened to your incredibly healing and restorative meditations on Insight Timer. I have read your books. I've read those meditations that just, they fill my soul. And for those people who aren't familiar right now that are watching today, that are so curious about this topic, could you tell them what a breakthrough life coach is and what type of people seek out your assistance?
Well, I'm a life coach, and actually it was one of my clients who came up with the term breakthrough life coach, because she said, Lisa, I didn't know that my childhood programming, my subconscious mind, was affecting the way that I think. And every time I speak to you, I have a breakthrough and another breakthrough, and it's a breakthrough. And it's like an elevation in my consciousness, and I feel lighter. So that's how I adopted breakthrough life coach. And as far as like the types of people that seek me out, generally these are people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They've tried traditional therapy, lots of them. They've been in therapy 10, 15, 20 years, and they just can't make the connection between the subconscious and the conscious. They resonate with my work. There are people who come from traumatic backgrounds, oftentimes narcissistic parents, or they're in a narcissistic relationship. And unfortunately, you know, in traditional therapy, when you go into therapy, the therapist doesn't always understand narcissistic abuse. Codependency is not in the DSM. So even though you can be running your life like a codependent, and you could be attracting narcissist after narcissist, it's not in the DSM. And so when someone like me comes on and does a bunch of YouTube videos, does Instagram lives and Facebooks and writes books, all of a sudden the information begins to resonate, and it's all encompassing. So my work encompasses, yes, this is the way you were brought up in childhood. This affected you. This is why you feel the way you feel. This is the way you think the way you think. And this is why you attract what you attract. Now let's see if we can break through.
Break through.
Yeah.
I said that you have had some breakthroughs of your own throughout life, right? And could you tell people a little bit about your story? Because you're speaking from within, not from the outside.
Oh, yeah. So I was born to 2 unrecovered adult children of alcoholics. So they weren't even aware that their childhood was traumatic. So they were very highly immature. I would say my dad was on the narcissistic spectrum. My mother was more codependent, but she had narcissistic traits. So we had 2 parents that made us feel very invisible. It was an oppressive home. We weren't allowed to feel our feelings. We were judged by our own parents. It was their agenda to control us. So we lived in fear. And I didn't realize that my childhood was the reason that I had anxiety and rashes as a child, and I couldn't think, and I would vomit on the way to school. I didn't understand. I thought it was just me. I was broken. I was bad, because that's the kind of stuff that I heard growing up. And I ended up marrying someone at 21. Well, I met him when I was 21, who was a lot like my mom. I brought 3 children, innocent children, into this world. When I was unaware, I was unaware. And when my body started to fall apart, asthma, migraine, headaches, I was really going downhill fast. And it was a doctor who said to me, you better listen to your body, because your body's listening to you. And I thought, ooh, what does that mean? I'm supposed to be listening to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't listen to myself. I listen to everybody else. I don't take care of myself. That's selfish. Isn't that selfish? You know, it blew my mind. It was a breakthrough. It was a breakthrough. And so I began to tell my truth, and I confronted my husband, and he did not want to change or shift. And I realized that my mother had programmed me to be a codependent, and I had done the same thing up until that point, and I needed to get out. So.
Wow, that's a breakthrough. And I'm so sorry that you went through that. So many people have this kind of background and they don't even realize that it's affecting them because we don't put high on a platform of level like pain threshold. Like if I'm not actually being physically abused or something that brash, then I don't really validate what I'm going through, right? And so understand that this kind of subtle like verbal abuse, which is this narcissistic pattern that we're talking about, creating this codependency tendency in us, creates such misery and then eventually oftentimes illness.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that when we're children, we're being downloaded rapidly with what we're experiencing, and we think our parents are God. You know, we come into this world dependent upon them. So we just assume they know what they're talking about. And so if they're treating us poorly, we assume blame for that. Yeah. And then that becomes a baseline. We're unaware because all human beings are more unconscious than they are conscious, but it becomes our baseline, our foundational speech of self. And then we take this baseline, this unconscious baseline out into the world. And we are literally interfacing with others out of this program and we don't even know it. And you need a breakthrough to figure that out.
Yeah, you know, as I've listened to you over the years, one of the things that I love the most about you is how you helped me to have language for what I was feeling. Not understanding what a narcissist was, not understanding what a codependent was, not understanding that my subconscious was at play, and all of these words. And what I love about listening to you is that it helps me shape them into smaller, more digestible compartments. Right. And then I can't understand it all at once because what you give is you have so much information. And I love that you just keep giving it in slightly different angles. And it's so helpful. And I think it's for that reason, the way you're so consistent in your messaging and what you're trying to help people with is, this is probably the reason why you were voted most, what is it? Wait, I gotta get this right. Most influential person of 2020 by Digital. So I wanted to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
And I want to say that happened in 2020, right?
Yes.
And that was the year the pandemic started. So we're going to delve deeper into all of what we were just talking about. But I want to ask you, what did you notice in when the pandemic started as far as what people were reaching out for help with?
It just broke my heart because what happened was people were stuck home with people who were alcoholics. They couldn't escape. So they were dealing with various levels of narcissism, various levels of verbal abuse, psychological abuse. The children were being more abused because no one could escape. The damage, the mental health issue that this has created is astronomical. And I don't think we understand the scope of what's happened during this pandemic with psychological abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence, and child abuse. So lots of people were reaching out to me. That's why I did a bunch of YouTube live streams during that time, because it was just, I feel it. Like, okay, we really, let's get some life skills here. Like, don't poke the bear. If you're stuck in quarantine with a narcissist, don't poke the bear, right? Like, tread lightly because you can't escape. They're like caged lions, and they regulate through dominating the children and the people in the home. You don't want to, not now, not during a pandemic. So those were the types of emails that I got, you know, from people. I'm stuck now. What do I do?
So for the advice for people who are stuck and can't create the distance that would be more healthy for them, don't poke. Are there any other bits of advice that you would give them besides don't poke the bear?
I would say don't poke the bear. You have to understand your dynamic and be very logical during this situation. If you're highly emotional, that's not going to work. So meditate, calm yourself, regulate yourself, ground yourself, do everything you can to take care of yourself. Don't tell the narcissist that you're taking care of yourself because that's a threat. So this happens between your head and your heart and with yourself. You don't share this with anybody. You be very careful about what information you share with a narcissist. If you're quarantined with a narcissist or you can't get away from a narcissist, get a support system, but don't tell them because everything's a threat. So I think you have to tread very lightly when you're stuck in a relationship. Also, I think it's very important not to lie, because a narcissist is, believe it or not, they're very tuned to you. They sense when you're lying. And so it's probably better not to lie than it is to lie, because if they sense that you're lying, that will make them feel out of control. So I think you have to be very, very careful in these situations.
Oh, that's really fantastic advice for people. That's, I can imagine that if you're trapped at home with a narcissist or someone who has narcissistic tendencies on the spectrum of narcissism, that it's very scary. Because I know that I was alone during the pandemic. I was in a relationship. I often thought about, whoa, what if I had been in this past relationship or this living together? Oh my gosh, I don't know if I would have survived. So this is all those who are in that situation. And please go to lisaaromano.com for more information, because she's got so much, a wealth of information at this difficult time, and understand your situation in a way that helped you deal with it. Now, speaking of struggling, in my past, I have been in some very unhealthy relationships, and I have attracted narcissists, and it's also brought out my own narcissistic tendencies. And but I think I relate more with being a codependent and an anxious attachment style person. Why does this happen? Why does an empath and somebody how does this attraction happen, the narcissist codependent attraction? Why is it just so prevalent in our society?
Well, first of all, I think, we're conditioned to think that we should love others. We should take care of others. We should be kind. We shouldn't judge people, especially in today's atmosphere. We shouldn't judge anybody, right? So, but yet we have this spirit of discernment. We have this guidance that we're supposed to be paying attention to, but we're so careful about not judging. Now, empaths and codependents are a little bit different. So an empath is like a sponge. So an empath will pick up on the wounds of a narcissist and immediately want to fix and heal them for that person. Empaths are highly forgiving. So they know that people are flawed. They know that they're flawed. So they give a pass. And a narcissist says, Carrie, I heard you. I'm so sorry. I'm going to work on that. That fills you with joy. Yes, I got through to him. Yes, this is going to work. I'm so excited. It makes the empath in you feel like a true healer, like you really can help this person. And so an empath is absorbing this energy. You can even understand, and you even empathize with why they are abusive. Well, he abuses me because his father was an alcoholic. So there's this such level of empathy for someone who's narcissistic, and that's exactly what a narcissist needs. A narcissist needs someone with high compassion. A narcissist requires it. A narcissist needs someone that's okay, babe, I understand you made a mistake. As long as you understand, as long as you're working on yourself, that's great. We can move towards this. A narcissist needs that. Now, a codependent is someone who needs to be needed. They are someone who does not have a sense of self. So they get a sense of self by catering to someone who is self-focused. A narcissist does not know how to navigate the world without direction. So a narcissist oftentimes appears to be someone that has a lot of wounds, and a codependent says, I can fix that, and now I'm getting a sense of self from fixing that. So they're not the same thing. Wow. However, an empath can have codependent traits, and a codependent can be highly empathic.
That's the part that tricks everybody up, I think, is that nothing's quite black and white.
No,
right?
no.
But you mentioned about the empaths being able to sense the trauma in this. And I've always felt, because I've had a lot of relationships with narcissists, and I always believe, this is my own theory, is that empaths and narcissists come from the same sort of trauma, a trauma so immense that they really just couldn't deal with it and stay like well balanced. And so for me as the empath, I decided to super hypersensitive. I developed my spidey skills and can sense everything when somebody's dangerous or somebody's looking a certain way and somebody's feeling this. And I sort of went outward into in survive. And then in my experience, the narcissist, same kind of trauma, scared as a child, doesn't know what's going on, and they go inward for survival. So they only think about the self. There is nobody that exists that is important as the self, because it's like this same survival mode. Am I way off on this, or is it not a healthy way to think, or is there some truth?
Well, there's new research suggesting that narcissism is on the rise, and they believe, well, the researchers have an inkling that social media has something to do with that. This idea that we're giving this generation has a platform to celebrate themselves and to gain a source of narcissistic supply, right? So that's one theory, but I think more commonly it is better known that narcissists do suffer from terrible trauma. The issue that happens is they go so far inside themselves that they develop a false narrative. They develop a false self. So they really do think that they're better than you. They really do believe that. They think, yes, they think they're better than you. And what you need to do, if you're going to be in a relationship with them, what they need you to do is to reflect that back. Oh, babe, you're awesome. Oh, you're amazing. Oh, no one's as smart as you. It's okay. You didn't mean to go out drinking and crash the car and get 3 DUIs. No, that's not your fault. They need that. They need someone to mirror that back. And that prevents them from feeling vulnerable. They see vulnerability in someone else as a weakness, and they feel entitled to exploit someone who has vulnerability.
Oh, I see. So that's perfect as an empath. But what's funny is maybe people don't recognize empaths. We're not only vulnerable, we're also highly intuitive. And
Yes.
I think what I've learned from listening to you is that it's really important to listen to the deeper, the self that actually does know how to take care of the self. And we can hear the whispers. I would hear the whispers after I would listen to your meditations. Your meditations bring out that side, and they enable that voice to be stronger. What is good advice for an empath, somebody who has codependent tendencies, so that they don't choose another narcissist? How can they create a boundary?
Well, first you have to, this is why I talk so much about what codependency symptoms feel and look like, because I didn't know that I was a codependent. Yes, not yet. I was a codependent. And then when I started to research, it was like, now I know what it feels like. And then I saw codependency in almost everybody. Like, people need to know, oh, that's codependent. You're trying to control that person. Oh, you know what? You just bought that person a beautiful bridal shower gift and you're pissed off because it's not all over Instagram. That's codependency. You're looking for a sense of self in this person celebrating you. You want to be recognized, noticed. So you're doing things because you need to feel like you're seen by others. That's no bueno. That's not good, right? And so what we have to do is first recognize us. We have to know who we are. How do we show up in relationships? Am I attracting narcissists? Well, I'm the common denominator. None of these men know each other.
Right? I was like, oh, it's me.
Right. Well, you know, he's an idiot. He's a narcissist. He's a psychopath, but none of them know each other. They live in different zip codes. Right? So I had to get real with myself and say, oh my God, this is me. So you have to identify. You have to take stock of that. And then you have to recognize why you're doing it, because it's not your fault. Now, if you're an empath, you can be an empath with no codependent tendencies and still absorb the energies of other people because it's natural for you. You process the world through the emotional body. It's just the way you were born. Some people believe that empaths are created because of the trauma, which is, I believe there's truth in that, because I think that one of the reasons I have so much empathy is because I had experienced such little empathy in my life. So I can't imagine bullying someone because I was bullied. I couldn't imagine hurting someone and inflicting on them what I experienced. So as a codependent and as an empath, you have to recognize who you are. Pay attention to yourself. How do you show up? And then you have to develop grounding techniques. Then you have to understand what is a codependent thought and what's not a codependent thought. You have to know what your intentions are. You have to self-love, and you need boundaries. Absolutely.
I think there's so much incredible information here, but one of the things that stands out to me is that a codependent, and if you don't even like the word, forget the word, but if you notice yourself looking for your value from others, that's where you have to be careful and what you're saying, right? So you identify as a former codependent, and you described it as a loss of selfhood. Could you get more? I think that's so interesting.
You know, it's just, I love this work because if you do this work the right way, you will dive into your spiritual self, your psychological self, your vibrational self, your chemical self. You'll touch on everything. So children, in order for me to know that I have a self psychologically, oh, who is Lisa? I needed my parents to mirror back this sense that Lisa had a self. But it gets a little fuzzy because a child identifies self with how they feel. So now what happens if I get taught that what I feel is irrelevant? What happens if my parents are self-absorbed and then not attuned to me? Then the feelings that I have never get validated. Therefore, I can't attach to the self. My feelings that I'm experiencing on the inside are connected to myself. I know that I have a self through the way that I feel. But if I'm violated, if I'm told that your feelings are ridiculous, you're a drama queen, just looking for attention, then I'm thinking now, I need to detach from my feelings because mommy and daddy say they're bad. I have no self. Who are you outside of how you feel and how you experience the world? But if the way you experience the world, the information you receive from the outside is it's inappropriate. Don't trust what you think. You're wrong. You shouldn't feel that way. You have no right to feel that way. You disown the self. So you're a shell of a person. So now what happens when you go out in the world? This abandonment wound is still there. It's a longing. It's an aching to feel warm and connected to and cared for. It doesn't go away because it's linked to survival. It's part of my default mechanism. I must hit that milestone. Therefore, I'm codependent. But because of everything that's happened to me and I'm downloaded by my external experiences, I believe that my worth is conditional. That's my programming. So the gaping wound is there. This aching is there. Then there's programming. I'm developing language. I must be bad. Well, if I take care of people, maybe they won't hurt me. Maybe they won't leave me. And that becomes a program. And that becomes a way of life. And I don't even know I'm doing it.
Oh, it's like, oh, my heart aches when we talk about this. So many of us have gone through this. You know, my mom was just here for the holidays. I was so grateful to see her after so much time had passed. Mm-hmm. And we were healing ourselves. And as I said, there's a pattern of this in our family. And she was saying, all I really want is warmth. And you just mentioned that. For you, Mom, what exactly is warmth? And even though she described it, I felt it. I was like, oh, I see. It's the feeling of being safe and loved and worthy and enough, which is what you're talking about, the selfhood, and that your worth comes from being. Now, go ahead.
Well, a child needs, most parents screw up. It's not their fault. It's tough. You're paying a mortgage, you have marital problems, you have your own trauma, you're just trying to get through a day. And I think a lot of people think that children aren't wise, but yet they're wiser than we are. They know how you feel. Mm-hmm. They know what they need. They know how they feel. And that needs to be honored. And parents need to attune themselves to the children. What happens far too often is the children are attuning themselves to the parents. That's where the vibrational reality comes in. You are a vibrational being. You're an energetic being. So if mommy is stressed, little baby Mary is stressed, she has to be stressed in order to feel one with her mother. And that's just biological.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Children have to attune themselves. If there's trauma or unpredictability in a home, the child can't relax in that. The child has to be on guard. It has to be hypervigilant. They have to attune themselves to the parents. It should be the other way. So parents should be calm. And if a child is in duress, the parent should soothe the child. If the parent doesn't soothe the child never learns how to self-regulate.
How do we get past the wanting to judge the what failure on their part, but maybe isn't? It's just everyone doing their best. And I think thanks to you, our generation and generations after us will have so much more language around this. And that is the beauty of social media, the accessibility to information. Some is not good, okay? But here we have someone who's excellent. Your information is so helpful. How do we not judge, though?
I think that we have to, one of the things that I teach in my 12-week breakthrough coaching program is that the first 4 weeks are all about you. I need to know what happened to you. You need to know what happened to you. There's going to be a part of you that wants to focus on, and it's their fault. And I say, let's just figure out the piece of the puzzle that is you. Let's just figure out the piece. Let's not judge, but let's just honor whatever happened to you, right? I do think, however, we need to pin the tail on the donkey psychologically. In other words, like, I was a victim of my mother's immaturity. She was 19 when she had me, right? Her personality wounded me. I was a victim. I was an innocent little child. However, I know that by the time people finish my class, they know that that's not the goal. In other words, like, they know that forgiveness and letting go and surrendering to what is, so that you can move into a state of wisdom. My higher self doesn't judge my mother. God, whatever your God is, doesn't judge, just accepts and surrenders. This is a holographic universe. What happens in one generation happens in the next generation until someone in that family line awakens and breaks through. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, you know, the breakthrough. It's true. My mom and I talk about this all, and I've told her about you, and we've been discussing you, and I was telling her that, because she's like, oh, you're always pushing me to learn, and I just come from a different generation, and I said, you know what,
Yeah.
you need me to help you heal as far as the holographic, you know, for those who go a little deeper. I do absolutely believe that. And I was like, together we heal.
Yeah.
And your mom and all the moms before her and everyone in our generation. Now, you've been mentioning your 12-week breakthrough coaching program, and I know after today that there are people who are going to be dying to take this and want to learn more because there's so much information. So tell us more about it and how people can sign up for it.
Okay, so what's really important is that I just so people understand where I come from. When I was doing this work, I realized that my brain was affected. Neurologically, I had been affected, meaning that I had language patterns, I had behavioral patterns, I had neurological patterns, literal grooves, pathways, neurological pathways that had wired together to create this default codependent process. And I knew that I had to break that. So meditation, huge. Journaling, the right journaling exercises, huge. Homework assignments, huge. So the 12-week class, what I've done is, based on the science of learning, I knew that I had to figure out, how do I get students many parts of their brain involved, not just one, through journaling. So we have a video, so you watch the video. So this is, you're watching this, your eyes are involved, you're listening, your ears are involved. Then we ask you to do journaling exercises. So now your hand, your heart, and your head are totally immersed in this. And then we have guided meditation. So we're helping you become less resistant to healing information at the theta brainwave level. And then there's the support of the Facebook group. So I take healing from a very scientific approach, a very neurological approach, because what's wrong is my programming. And I need to, through consistency and repetition, heal that. So the 12-week class that's the basis of it. I see it as an ability to bridge the subconscious with the conscious mind. And so many of us, we walk around in our heads, but we're like that iceberg, right? So we don't even know where all these emotions and behaviors, and who said that? Where did that come from? Where did that thought come from? We're not even questioning, are these my thoughts? Are these my feelings? Why do I feel this way? Why did I just say that? Why am I acquiescing? Why am I subjugated? We don't even know why. So we just stop. For 12 weeks, we stop and we figure out why. The first 4 weeks are about awakening. The second 4 weeks are about accountability, because there is no healing without, oh my God, what have I done? None of that. And then the last 4 weeks are the ascension process, where we actually help build out a blueprint for your life moving forward, your non-codependent life. You can still have empathy, but not without boundaries. And you have to have empathy for yourself before you have empathy for anyone else. Because if you don't, you'll be exploited in this world. That's just a reality.
Oh, I love it. I love you're so interesting, the way you're so tell it like it is, but you're talking about, you're so nurturing and warm, but in your own authentic way. And I love it, because you cut through it. You just cut through it, and you really give us the information that can help us heal. I just want to ask, because I know there's some people that maybe some of this conversation went above their head, but they're sensing that this is something they need. Is this also for a beginner level person who's never journaled before and has never online class before?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's perfect for adult children of alcoholics, adult children of narcissists, people who identify as codependents, those people who are in CODA. I hear this all the time. Like, Lisa, I heard about you in CODA. They even watched my videos in many, many CODA groups across the country, because like you said, I'm giving people language, and I'm also giving people permission to say what happened to you in your childhood matters. But you have to heal it. And the way you heal it is by understanding and identifying what went wrong. Because you can't fix a hole in the wall you can't see. You have to. Your childhood has affected you. I don't care who you are.
Is it safe to say that it's hard work to heal? Like, to take dedication? Because I feel like we all just thought it was our natural right and that it should just be the default mode, but it seems that it's not that way. And I want to prepare people for this because I really want them to get the gift of healing.
To heal childhood programming, you have to be a warrior, because you are going to face the dragons within you. No one's going to be there with you at 2 o'clock in the morning when your heart starts to panic because you just remembered something that was terrifying from your childhood. You are going to have to learn the tools that you need to be able to sit with the energy that's trying to come through your body. The reason it terrifies you is because you think you shouldn't feel that way. And what I teach people is, if you feel that way, it's because someone made you feel that way. Now, if you can stand there and allow your body to be honest in that terror and honest in that fear, if you can embrace that fear just for a moment, it will move through you, because the fear wants to be processed. But you have to acknowledge it in the conscious realm in order for it to leave your body, which is scary, because most people don't want to feel that trauma. They get triggered and they think, oh, that's wrong. It's wrong. No, you're triggered because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, to remember who hurt you, what hurt you, how they hurt you, so that you can avoid it in the future. That's what a trigger is. And if you can love that, if you can honor your brain, if you can say, okay, I'm being triggered, that's not a bad thing. My brain is doing exactly what it was intended to do, to keep me safe. So what if I did something different? Instead of running away from this fear, what if I journaled about it? What if I tried to figure out why I feel that way? What if I give myself permission? Screw what everybody else thinks, because abusive people tell you it never happened. Abusive people tell you to get over it. Abusive people tell you you're living in the past. Screw that, dear one. Focus on yourself. How do you feel? How do you feel? What's going on? Why do you think you feel this way? Tell no one. This is your sacred journey.
I want to cry. I've cried many nights listening to your meditations, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work that you had to do on yourself to get to be, and for sharing all of your incredible knowledge with all of us. And this project is all about healing people and helping people on their own wellness journey. And I was just wondering, you, as a woman, a warrior woman who is out there helping and giving so much to help others, how do you stay in balance?
Oh, well, I wake up very early to do that. I wake up early and I go to bed early. And I don't give a damn who says anything about it. You know, in the beginning, people would say, my friends would say, oh my God, you go to bed so early. And I was like, yep, that's me. You know, I do, because I have to put myself first. I have a big life. Together we have 6 kids. We have animals. We have birds. We have wonderful things happening in our life. And so I wake up about 3:30 every morning, and I do about an hour and a half of personal development work. It's just me. I light my candle. I do my journaling. I do my meditation. I set my intention for the day. These days, my goal is to become completely non-resistant to what I cannot change. I don't want to be resistant to anything. I want to accept what I cannot change. I want to pay attention to my focus and my goal. I want to stay in the spirit of love. And that's the way I stay balanced, because I am so aware all day, every day of what I should be paying attention to and what I should not be paying attention to. I make sure that I take care of myself. I am the priority first. And if I feel like taking a nap, I take a nap. You know, I listen to my body. And my life is becoming a little bit smaller these days because my priorities are getting clearer. And so I wanted to do this with you, but there are many projects that I say no to. If it doesn't resonate with me, I just say no, namaste. So I'm definitely paying more attention to my internal guidance. And you know it, Carrie Ann, as you get older, I mean, my children are in their 20s, my little one is 24 and my other children are in their 30s. But I tell them, trust me when I tell you, you're going to get to a point where you care less and less and less about what other people think about you. And it's such a gift to be able to say, I'm going to take care of me, and I'm in the spirit of love, and I'm not going to judge you for taking care of you. And I just hope that you're able to offer me the same spirit. So take care of yourself and make yourself the priority. That's the way I balance.
That's incredible. And thank you for that, because I have made a lot of changes in my life, and I spend about 45 minutes, but I'm realizing I need more. But I was like, really? Can that be? What's going on? But so thank you for giving everyone who's listening, and myself included, permission to take care of ourselves. Thank you.
It will change your life.
You are incredible, and you are one of my heroes. I love and adore you. I always have from afar, and I appreciate you. I hear your voice, and I fall asleep all the time.
Awesome. Love yourself.
More information on Lisa's 12-week breakthrough coaching program and everything else, Lisa. As you can see, there's tons of information that you can learn from this incredible woman. Check out lisaaromano.com. Sign up for the coaching program. Also, I just want to thank you again for this informative conversation. Thanks, Lisa.
I am here for you, Carrie Ann, anytime you need me. Anytime, just reach out.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Good. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. So what did you guys think? How incredible was that conversation, right? Oh, look at all those hearts. She is an amazing woman, and I strive to be more like her in my own life, the way she is so honest and clear and direct and strong. She's so multidimensional. And by the way, her approach to healing from codependency and from your childhood wounds, your loss of sense of self, all of these topics that we discussed today, is multidimensional. She attacks it from all different angles. And that way, if something doesn't resonate with you, there's another approach. You can follow her on Insight Timer as well, which is an app that has great meditations. That's where I discovered her. You can find her on YouTube, and she's got incredible books. There's one book that's filled with affirmations, and I just find that when I'm feeling like I need a little more warmth, it's there, and she's there, and she can be that for you. I know we're all still separated from the pandemic, so check her out. She's amazing. Thank you all for joining today. I just want to say I'll see you again next Thursday, February 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm going to get physical with celebrity trainer Michelle Levitt. She's got tips on how to start your fitness journey at any age. And guess what? We're going to talk about the hot topic of intermittent fasting. Does it work or does it not? She knows. All right. So we'll be talking about that. Thank you for joining me today on Carrie Ann Conversations, Journey to Wellness. Take care. Be kind to yourself.